In the last two videos, we looked at how the 7-year and 12-year versions of the Premium Freedom Blueprint actually work. You saw that the goal is to build a focused SEEP corpus that, after a certain number of years, is designed to take over the job of paying your health insurance premiums. That alone is a big achievement. It means your future self does not have to carry that burden alone. But there is another layer to this strategy that I want you to see clearly. This is not just about paying premiums. If life goes reasonably well and you don't face repeated, very large claims every few years, the very same corpus we are building to fund your protection can also become a meaningful legacy for your next generation. Think back for a moment to the mental picture we've been using. Salary comes in. For 7 or 12 years, you direct part of it towards your protective gear, your base health cover, super top-up, personal accident and critical illness. At the same time, you put money into a Premium Freedom SEEP, which is allowed to grow. After that contribution window is over, the corpus you build starts funding the premiums, so you are free from fresh contributions. Now ask yourself a simple question. If the corpus is large enough to comfortably handle your premiums beyond that point, does it have to stop there? The answer is no. In most realistic scenarios, if you design it with some conservatism and you do not suffer continuous health shocks, the corpus does two jobs at once. It supports the premiums and it continues to exist as part of your wealth. Think of it like this. Suppose your Premium Freedom corpus reaches a certain size by year 8 or year 13, depending on which version you chose. From that point onwards, you only need a small portion of it each year to pay your premiums. That portion could come from the returns generated by the corpus, or from a planned partial withdrawal. If the corpus is reasonably designed and the withdrawals for premiums are sensible, the principal can remain largely intact or at least not be exhausted very quickly. All through this time, your health insurance is doing its job. When a significant hospitalization happens, the insurer, not your own capital, bears most of the cost. Of course, some co-pays and uncovered items may still come from your side, but the heavy lifting is done by the policy. That means your main investments and your Premium Freedom corpus are protected from being wiped out by single events. They may get trimmed a bit here and there, but they are not being shattered. Now combine those two ideas. On one side, premiums are being funded by a dedicated pool. On the other side, big hospital bills are being handled mostly by the insurer. What does that leave? It leaves a high probability that, if you manage your money sensibly and do not deliberately loot the corpus for other purposes, there will be a sizable amount left over later in life. That leftover amount is your legacy. It is the scoreboard at the end of your innings. The common fear with any drawdown strategy is, if I start using my investments to pay premiums, will I have anything left later? That fear is valid if you don't have insurance in the first place. Without health insurance, every big medical event directly attacks your main investments. You might do SIPs for 15 years and then wipe them out in one hospitalization. In that situation, yes, using your investments to pay for healthcare can leave nothing behind. But in the Premium Freedom structure, you are not naked. You have your pads, your thigh pad, your gloves and your helmet on. The health insurance and top-up protect you from the full impact of medical bills. Personal accident and critical illness protect your income and lifestyle from accidents and major illnesses. The SEEP corpus that we are talking about sits one step behind that protection, funding the premiums and acting as a buffer. Because the first blows are taken by the protective gear, the corpus is not constantly being hit. That is what allows it to survive and grow into a legacy. Let me bring this back to the cricket analogy for a moment. A well-protected batsman does not just avoid injury. The protection allows him to play his natural game. Because he is not afraid of every ball breaking his leg or his fingers or cracking his skull, he can focus on scoring runs. At the end of the innings, when he walks back to the pavilion, he doesn't carry the pads and helmet as his achievement. He carries his score. The gear protected him. The score remains as the record. In your financial life, the Premium Freedom Blueprint is the way you wear that gear properly. The health covers protect you from financial injury. The SEEP corpus stands behind them, ready to take care of the premiums. If you go through life constantly being hit by serious events, of course the corpus will be used. That is its job. But if, like many people, you experience a few big hits over long innings rather than one disaster every year, it is entirely possible for the corpus to do its job and still be there at the end as well. Is this guaranteed? No, nothing in markets or in life is guaranteed. Returns can be lower, premiums can rise faster than expected, your personal health journey can be more expensive than average. That is why I keep repeating that this is a design, not a promise. But if you compare this design to doing nothing, or to only buying insurance with no structured funding plan, or to only investing and hoping to pay health costs from your own pocket, you will see that the premium freedom approach gives you a much better chance of ending your life with both your health reasonably protected and your wealth reasonably intact. This is also why I want you to view the premium freedom SEEP mentally as a family asset, not a personal toy. You are building it for two reasons. First, to support you and your spouse in your later years by funding your health premiums. Second, to exist as a potential gift to your children or whoever you choose as your heirs. When you look at it this way, paying into that SEEP becomes easier. It is no longer extra savings or one more financial product. It becomes part of your intention to both protect and provide. In your one-to-one premium freedom planning call, we will not only look at whether the numbers are enough to aim for lifetime premium support, we will also look at how big the legacy could reasonably be under different scenarios. We can talk about what happens if you withdraw only what is needed for premiums, what happens if you never touch the corpus and use other income sources instead, and how this pool fits into your overall estate planning. For now, I just want you to see that the story does not end at, my SEEP pays my health premium. That is an important middle chapter, not the final one. The fuller story is this: you structure your protection properly, you fund it wisely through a focused SEEP, you let that structure shield your wealth from medical shocks, and if life gives you a reasonably fair innings, you walk off the field with not just fewer injuries, but also a good score on the board that can be passed on. In the next part of this course, we will look at how this premium freedom blueprint applies slightly differently to people who already have some insurance and investments versus those who are starting almost from scratch. The principles remain the same, but the steps we take and the speed at which we move can change. We will also start preparing you for your one-to-one planning call, so that when we talk, we can turn all of this into a concrete plan with your actual numbers.